And whose team is this? Is this your team? Or is this your daddy's team?
Thanks for listening to Dad Mode Podcast, Common Sense Parenting in a Politically Correct World. Here's your host, Andy Carlson.
Welcome back to the Dad Mode Podcast, Common Sense Parenting in a Politically Correct World. Who's your daddy? I'm your host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on Twitter. I'm a father, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but you neither. So let's try and learn something together today. The website is dadmodepod.com, Twitter at dadmodepod, or just use the hashtag dadmode. And hey, make sure to tell a friend. You got a friend that's also first-time parent, your father or mother, either one. I feel like some of our topics and points of views are pretty universal and applicable, and we don't discriminate here. We are not sexist at all. Dads, moms, dads and dads, moms and moms, it's all good. I mean, we all have kids and we're all afraid to screw them up. So that's what binds us all together. We're all in this together, baby. So joining me on Dad Mode today is Nick Howser. Damn it. I knew I had screwed it up. And we just talked about like 2 seconds ago. Nick Howser, at Nick_Howser on the Twitter machine. His blog is papahowser.wordpress.com, formerly Bleacher Report, and also he's on hardlyserious.com. Nick, how's it going today?
Good.
That son of a, I knew I was going to screw it up. I knew it.
That's all right. You're not alone. Everybody screws it up.
No, it's like that thing where you meet some new people at a party and you're like, all right, this person's name is Karen. And then 2 seconds later, you're like, shit, what's her name?
Exactly.
All right. And what's been new with you? What's been going on in the writing world?
Just doing a little moving around. I was with Bleacher Report for about a little over 3 years, covering the A's for them. And I recently slowed that down. A couple of buddies, actually from a rival website, swinginga's.com, started their own website called Hardly Serious. It's just kind of a mix of mostly funny, sometimes serious. They cover pretty much the gamut: television, movies, sports, life.
With Bleacher Report, did you win your freedom like Gladiator?
No, it was more like old school Western. I just kind of finished it out and rode off into the sunset quietly.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who write for Bleacher Report, don't have the kindest of words.
I should say that it pretty much landed me in the career that I'm in. So, it is what it is. There's some pros and some cons.
That's true. And what do you do now?
I actually do a little bit of news writing and editing. I'm a digital managing editor for one of the major. It's Hearst. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Like,
Hearst Television.
Like William Randolph Hearst?
Yeah.
Garrison Hearst?
Ish.
Nice. Now, let's hop into why we had you. You're obviously a father. How old are your kids?
I have one.
Yep.
He is just about to be 2 years old this coming September.
Now, has the wife bugged you about getting the second and third kids now? Because about the 2 years is usually the buffer, because the wife has told me that, like, well, if they're farther than 2 years apart, then they can't hang out with the same type of friends in high school and blah, blah, blah.
It's funny because we were so on the fence about having the one.
Yeah.
And we just kind of opened up a real small window and said, if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it's a sign, and we'll just stick with our freedom. And we gave it 12 months, and it happened in month 10. But because we were so on the fence with the first one, we're even more so on the fence with the second one. So it's not so much my wife asking, it's our family.
Oh.
And they don't shut up about it.
Yeah, of course, because all the grandmas and the aunts and everything, like, oh, when are you going to have another one?
Exactly. Well, you know what? It's funny, too, because they don't even ask when you're going to have the other one. They just drop little lines like my mom does this to me all the time. She'll post something on my Facebook wall and say, for when you have a second one. And it'll be like the guide to, I don't know, the second time around or something. And it's like, whoa, easy there.
So they won't even come out and directly ask it. They'll just drop subtle, like passive-aggressive hints at you.
Yep. Oh, this gets easier the second time around. Or when he has a little brother or sister, he'll do this. It's like,
Think of all the hand-me-downs.
Exactly. No, you don't want to get rid of that yet because you might need it. We'll see.
All right, so on the second one, if you leave it up to the chance or higher being again, just have it a really small window. Just be like, all right, so weekend in Tahoe is our window, baby. Let's do this.
Exactly.
All right.
Which is funny because we have a weekend in Tahoe coming up in like a month.
Can I call it or can I call it? Actually, I hacked in your scheduler, your day planner.
Nice.
As my people are prone to do since am Korean. All right, so let's hop into you geographically. So you cover the A's. You're up in the Bay Area. Are you a Warriors fan?
Well, I'm a little bit outside the Bay. I'm in Sacramento. So
no.
I'm not a big basketball guy, but I have to be a Kings guy first.
No. I always kind of like the Kings because they're like a small market, us against the world sort of team, and I kind of commiserate with that. Whereas the Warriors fans, I don't know, man. Most of them are kind of like Seahawks fans where they just kind of showed up in 2014.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but now.
But I really do enjoy the Warriors. I wish I would have said that I was kind of that they were my side team years ago when they actually became my side team, because now if I say it, everybody's like, when did they become your side team? 2015. But it is what it is. I'm happy for them. I'm glad they won.
All right. So since you have a son and it's a sacred bond of father and son sports fandom, what have you instilled in him so far? Does he have some sort of gear? And what's your plan for as he gets older?
It started with the nursery. When we did all the paint and the wall features and everything for his nursery before he was even born, we painted green and yellow. At our old house, we had like this wood paneling all the way across one wall, and I did it in yellow and green stripes. And then beyond that, we have a custom made. It's like a scoreboard sign that has our family name on it, and the score is all set up to be how many people we have in our family and whatever. And then I already have the custom made Louisville Slugger with his name and birth date on it. So I mean, it was pretty intense before he was even born. All of that stuff is kind of slowly going away as he decides what he likes. So, one baseball paraphernalia thing gets taken down and Mickey Mouse gets slapped up there.
And all right, so you're not gonna be like the dad who keeps forcing it and like duct tapes the bat in the kid's hand when he goes to t-ball when he's 4.
No, I'm gonna try really hard not to. It's already pretty hard, but I just have to keep reminding myself it's okay if he doesn't want to play. It's okay. But you know what? Most of the time lately, last couple of weeks, he's actually been finding his plastic baseball bat and then coming up to me and saying hit.
Oh.
So I'm all for it. I've been pitching him BP for like an hour a day for the last week.
Okay. Now the next words out of his mouth is going to be Bash Brothers or Moneyball.
So. He gets really excited when he gets a hit. So
there you go. Just don't raise him to be like Barry Zito. Just peak early.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he hasn't made solid contact yet, so I don't think the peaking early is around the corner.
Well, he can develop then, so he's kind of like Byron Buxton. He's got the speed and the defense, he just can't hit worth him.
Exactly.
Me being a Twins fan, and that's a whole conversation for another day. But having the son, and since we're on sports, the type of dads out there who are like trying to live their unfulfilled sports dreams through their children and pushing them on everything and basically like turning their kids into Todd Marinovich Robo QB. Now, that's wrong in your opinion, correct?
It's wrong to push your kid so like ferociously. Because I mean, my own dad kind of did that a little bit. He wanted to go pro so bad, and it didn't happen for him. That he has 3 sons, including me, and he pushed all 3 of us so hard that the day I decided to quit baseball, my mom she refused to be the one to tell him. She was like, you have to call him and tell him. And I hemmed and hawed for like hours because I was so afraid to tell him. So, I mean, really my goal with my son is just don't do that. If he wants to play, that's awesome. And I'll encourage him and I'll help him every step of the way. And he's not even 2 yet. So I haven't quite decided like how deeply we want to get into this thing. If we want to pay for like lessons or, hitting coaches, throwing coaches, that kind of thing.
I was reading the book, The QB, I think it was by Bruce Feldman, and they're talking about like these rich families in SoCal, hiring out these private quarterback tutors when the kid's like 12 years old. And I'm like, why? Because I understand, all the benefits that come from sports. You played sports, I played sports growing up, and the camaraderie, the discipline, the sticking to a plan and sticking to commitment and having discipline and everything like that. But if the kid absolutely hates it and despises and dreads every moment going to practice or the games, eventually the kid will despise and hate the parent, won't he?
Exactly. Yep. I'm 100% on board with that thinking.
And it's not just sports, sports. Everyone, talks about sports and demonizes it, but I'm talking about like pageant moms. The pageant moms.
Oh yeah. TLC.
Oh my, like the amount of money that gets burned on that show. And I love it that the dads always come to the shows and just like, he's smiling, but he's grinning through his teeth. Like in the past 2 years, we spent $8,000 cash.
Exactly. And he has no idea what for.
Yeah. And they spend $500 for a weekend, and like the top prize is a $50 gift certificate to, I don't know, Toys R Us or Forever 21 or something like that.
Exactly. Shenanigans.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned he grabs the bat and goes off hitting every now and then, but you also mentioned before we started talking that he has a hitting issue. Now, is that him falling below the Mendoza line or him actually striking people?
I wish it was the Mendoza line. It'd be a lot easier to correct. But in the last couple weeks, he has all of a sudden picked up hitting, and we're not sure why. He thinks it's hilarious to hit my wife, his mom.
Yeah.
I would say it's mostly the dogs get the brunt of it.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like the dogs get the brunt of it, and he's kind of mean about it. And then he hits his mom and just kind of laughs and thinks it's hilarious.
Well, Nick, you may be wondering why we brought you here, but is he taking after his father? How dare you? How dare you?
With the dogs, maybe. I mean, we don't hit or kick the dogs, but they're a pretty big pain in the butt sometimes. So I catch myself yelling at him constantly, get out of the kitchen, get out from underneath my feet, especially when we're eating. I would think that he's picking up like the grunting at them, and like he gets like this real deep voice. Like he doesn't know how to say many words yet. But he'll get real deep voice and grunt at him and be like, and it's like, I'm pretty sure he's mimicking me yelling at the dogs.
Now, is this the hitting situation, is this something that you and the wife are trying to correct on your own, or are you looking up stuff, reading books? What's up?
We've tried a couple of different things so far. We've tried everything from phrasing it to say, ouch, that hurts me, to just sternly saying no, stop, don't hit. We're still using both varieties. Mm-hmm. Neither one has quite caught on yet. So we actually we did some research. We found if you put them on timeout just for like 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there, just so they can kind of put it together. Like, if I hit you, I'm going to get put on timeout, and I don't want to be put on timeout, so I'm not going to hit you. And we read that you have to do it because we were putting him in his crib. And then we found out that apparently if you put them in their crib for a timeout, it tells them this is a bad place. So then they don't want to go to sleep in the crib.
Oh, yeah.
So we actually set up the playpen in a spare room that we don't even use. And that's kind of our go-to timeout. So if he hits, we do the, ouch, that hurts, please don't hit me. he hits again, then it's no, stop, one more time, and you're going on timeout. And then if he hits a third time, done deal, he's in timeout. And then you just leave him. Yes.
Now, Nick, is playpen code for a wood box chained to the furnace?
It's a dog crate in the spare bedroom with all the blankets and fuzzies taken out.
Now, has he gone through any other phases so far?
None that really stand out. We were kind of waiting for we figured every kid goes through a biting phase.
Yep.
And he
this kid is going to grow up to be Tyson. The hitting and the biting.
He might be, yeah. He's hitting and biting. He just needs to learn a headbutt or a crotch shot. Actually, he's pretty good at the crotch shot already.
And a lisp.
Well, personally, I hope he doesn't have the lisp, but that's just me. So, yeah, I mean, he went through a real small biting phase, but it's mostly we figured out when he's teething. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like he's viciously biting us to be a bad person. He's just needs something to gnaw on because his little gums hurt.
Now, they call it the terrible twos. I feel like that's kind of a cliche. Is there any other behaviors that you can deem, quote unquote, terrible?
I mean, really hitting and biting are like the two big ones. But, touching on terrible twos, I found out, I know every kid is different, but I found out that terrible twos, in my opinion, don't start when they turn 2 years old. Terrible twos start when they start walking on their own 2 feet. Because as soon as he was able to start walking, it was like he went from walking to running. And when he started running, it was like he's in everybody's business and he's all over the house and he's pulling stuff out. Like he empties cabinets and closets and he's able to pull chairs over and climb on top of the chair and then reach for things on the countertops. It's like you think you have your house baby-proofed until you have a toddler.
Now, are you guys at the point where everything below 2 feet has to be covered in like foam rubber?
God, I wish. I've said the phrase, this is why we can't have nice things, an uncountable amount of times.
You have to do like the reverse of an old person's or a midget's house where everything is accessible below 3 feet. You got to do the opposite
exactly. Of it. We're just going to have massive countertops that are 6 feet tall.
Now, you brought up in the notes, you had internet security / anxiety. What was that all about?
Yeah, the other day, probably about a week ago, I just, something caught my eye, and it was this lady talking about how she accepted a Facebook friend she thought she knew because they had 20 friends in common. So she just kind of blindly accepted this person. She was posting pictures of her kid, and then it was first day of school. She did the check-in because she was proud mom, and then her kid got kidnapped from school.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That got dark in a hurry.
It might be one of those, tall tales, precautionary, just, kind of check yourself parents. But it worked with me because I just went super paranoia mode and started doing all this research on it. And then I came across another blog post that was like, I found out some company in Russia stole pictures from my blog and is using it for their campaign. Like, so my kid's face is like a poster and a billboard in Russia. It's just
that was actually kind of cool.
Well, for this particular one, it was pretty awful.
I see. Just go off on a tangent. I never really understood the whole geotagging of stuff. Like whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's like, and I think the iPhone you can get like exact coordinates of where you are. I'm like,
yeah, it's creepy.
Why would anyone ever want to promote that? Unless you're so self-absorbed, you gotta be like, oh, well, I am at this Club X. Look at me. Or was it Foursquare or SwarmApp? That thing?
Foursquare.
Yeah.
You check in enough times, you become the mayor of some place. It's like, awesome. Now I know where you go every single Friday.
But the kids thing is, it probably is like an urban legend, old wives' tale, but it does make sense, and it is, if it serves anything just as a warning, it's done its job.
Right, exactly. I mean, if all it had to do was a job for one person, it worked, because I just went super paranoia mode and considered deleting the blog for a little bit. Before I did that, I made it private, and I went through all the pictures I've posted and removed a bunch. But at the end of the day, I decided I'll keep it. I'm just going to be a little more present-minded about what I'm posting and the pictures I'm posting, and I ditched all of the locations. So
now, overall, what's your feelings about when the kid gets older, about internet, social media, whatever incarnations there might be, in 10, 12 years?
I'm really deep down, I'm a wing it kind of guy. So everything we've done so far, I've just kind of been winging it, and it's worked out so far. In my experience as a kid growing up, I didn't get a cell phone until 18. My mom was pretty adamant, like, you don't need a cell phone until you start driving. And then I started driving pretty late and got a cell phone like 6 months after that. And I was perfectly
was
fine.
it a Nokia brick?
It was a Nokia flip phone. It was tiny. It was so small that when I would put my thumb through the little thing to flip it open like I was Mr. Cool, most of the time it would just go backflipping out of my hand and onto the ground.
Yeah, because I thought we're in like a similar age demographic of the golden age of the Nokia phones.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely know the bricks you're talking about.
Now, I don't know, man. Like, I have a daughter, so I feel like it's going to be way tougher with, the Instagram of, in the next decade or wherever it's going to be, because it's going to be so tough, because that's how the kids nowadays, like, that's their thing. That's what they're spending all of their time on, whether it be tablets or their cell phones or on computer. And I don't know. I think my parents and your parents probably had it easy. There was no internet, and you didn't have to worry about online predators or online cyberbullying or all that other crap. And now we're going to have to deal with all this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, ISIS.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I that's why I have to wing it, because I can't. It's not like I can go to my mom and ask her for advice, because she said, she'll be like, "No, I let you play video games for an hour, and then I let you go outside and ride on your bike for 4, and didn't check on you till lunch, and you were fine."
Yeah, and no one kidnapped you because I didn't check in on Foursquare.
Exactly.
Naked Lunch, mayor of Kitchenville.
Exactly. The Summerfield Court King.
Now, I'm kind of the winging it mindset too, but what's some of the best advice that you've gotten for parenting so far?
Well, jokingly, the best advice is that every kid is different, so all advice sucks. But, jokes aside, before we had our son, we were on vacation in Mexico, and we took like one of the most shadiest van trips into the center of nowhere. And we didn't realize how shady this
by your own free will, or were you
we saw this expedition labeled and we went for it. It included like underground caves that you could swim in, and like Machu Picchu or some.
That's how they get you. That is the ice cream truck of Mexicans getting tourists.
Exactly. That's the adult ice cream truck, and we totally fell for it. But it turned out we're still alive. But we found this couple there, and they had like a 3-year-old with them. And the 3-year-old was just so well behaved. It was pretty astonishing. So at the end of the trip, when it's all said and done and all the adults are gassed, we're like, what made you bring a 3-year-old on this trip? Like, you guys are brave. And the mom told us that the best advice she has for everybody is not to let your kid run the family. Your kid is supposed to be part of the family, not run the family. So do everything you would do that you did before you had a kid, and bring your kid with. And it's almost kind of like force your kid to do the things that you used to do before them, and it just kind of acclimates them to your life and your lifestyle. And
I don't know, man. I don't know if I want my daughter coming with me to drink 40s and shoot dice in the barrio.
Exactly. So, there's some things you'll want to skip, but we've pretty much tried that out, and it's worked pretty well. Like it sounds bad. We've taken a baby to a bar, but
Mm.
Mama only turns 30 once, so baby
Now,
came too.
I think that is pretty good advice, because the thing that annoys me is the parents that their entire lives change and their world is centered completely around the child. I mean, yes, it is important, as child rearing is probably the most time consuming job you'll ever have. But if your world revolves around the kid, and then I don't think that's a healthy relationship. And you do especially see this in like suburban soccer moms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sets you up for failure. If you just center everything around your kid and you stop doing all the things that you love, then you kind of like lose that individuality of yourself. And then it's like, who are you going to start resenting first? The kid, your spouse, society, and then it's all bad.
Then the kid goes off to college, and that's when the Chardonnay and Xanax come out at 10 a.m.
Exactly.
Well, baby. Same vein, what's the worst parenting advice you've received so far?
I really hated hearing "get your sleep now." I know that's before you have a kid, but that advice drove me absolutely nuts, because it's like, you can't bank hours of sleep. So if I sleep 15 hours on Saturday, it's not like I can sleep 3 on Sunday and feel fine.
I got a sleep certificate deposit with compound interest.
Exactly. Like, if that actually worked, then 2 years into this thing, I would still have so much sleep banked, but it's not working. I think my account got closed.
Got flagged. All right, Nick, I've taken up a bunch of your time, but I want to bring it home with a little dad mode word association. So I'll throw out a word or a phrase, and you just tell me the first little blurb that comes to mind. All right?
Okay. All right.
First one is the suburbs.
I thought of those soccer moms in minivans.
Yeah, they're my mortal enemy, as we firmly established on this show. and again, I have to point this out like every time as a disclaimer. Soccer mom is not a sexist term. There can be suburban soccer dads who are equally as annoying as So
definitely.
Number 2, spanking.
Well, I didn't have a word associated, but my face kind of flinched up, like, don't do it.
Vaccination.
Your choice.
Minivan.
Man, I went back to soccer.
Do you have a minivan?
We don't. We actually just went to go buy a truck, and my wife almost wanted to come away with an Explorer. And I was telling her that it's just a big minivan, to try to persuade her towards the truck.
And I think like a SUV or a mid-size SUV is the perfect compromise, because you can still look kind of cool on date night. You can't in the Dodge Grand Caravan.
No, definitely not. Although, just mini shout out to the Explorer. It was pretty nice. We ended up test driving it.
High fructose corn syrup.
Hard to avoid.
It's so good too.
It is.
Free range parenting.
Free range parenting. It's a term I've heard so many times, but I just haven't actually taken the time to research what that is.
That was the one on the news where the parents got in trouble from child services because they let their 9-year-old kids walk like 3 miles to
do
school.
Anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I think maybe limited free range parenting is a little more appropriate.
Yeah, I think it's definitely okay if the kid's mature enough and can handle it and is responsible. But if your kids get snatched up, don't come crying to the police.
Right. Maybe teach your
report
kid to be independent, but don't be an idiot about it.
And carry mace.
Right.
Yeah.
And then ducks.
School lunches.
Getting better. Having worked in schools, I think they're getting better.
Now, do you remember school lunch? Did you get the rectangle pizza where it fit right in the slot?
Oh yeah, rectangle pizza.
Yes.
There was the French toast sticks with unlimited syrup.
Yeah, those are fantastic. Even though I'm pretty sure Most of my generation, your generation, is like malnourished now because of all that crap.
Yeah. I have years of making up to do.
My eyesight is negative 0.9 or 9.9.
Yeah, I hit 20, so I didn't even make it to 30 before knees and shoulders and eyesight started falling apart.
All right. Last one, rather just a question. What's the one piece of advice that you would give out to first-time parents?
I would say just go with the flow. I mean, there's not really one strategy that works best for any kid. There might be a strategy that works best for your kid, but it's not going to be the best strategy that works for my kid. And we found this out, especially with crying at night. You really just have to do whatever is going to make you comfortable. I mean, don't drive yourself nuts trying to push this one thing that you read on the internet that works for the majority of people. If it's not working for you, don't do it. Just do you is basically the easiest way to say that, is just do you.
You talking about the baby crying tonight, or you crying tonight?
Sometimes it's both. Last night he was crying. I kind of wanted to cry. It's usually one leads to the other.
Boom. All right. Well, that's pretty good piece of advice. Nick, thank you so much for taking some time out. Again, he's on Twitter at Nick_Howser, and look for everything that he's been writing. HardlySerious.com, papahowser.wordpress.com is his personal blog. Nick, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're out of here today. Again, Amazon. It's the most important thing ever, and it's so beautiful because anything that you need, whether it be bottles or formula or swaddlers or muslin blankets, anything you need, just buy in bulk on Amazon. It's so much cheaper than buying a piecemeal, one or two at a time at whatever store you go to. So much better, and it comes right to your door. So you don't have to go out for an extra trip. And the best part is, if you like the show, want to help support us, just click on our Amazon link, top left corner of the homepage, dadmodepod.com, and bookmark it. And then every time you want to order something on Amazon, just click the little bookmark. Just click the little A on your bookmark bar. It'll take you through our link and just buy what you're going to buy anyways. And we get a little kickback. We get a little taste. We get our beak wet, as it were, and keep the lights on here at Dad Mode Podcast, which are LED lights, by the way, because we're forward-thinking. We are all about efficiency and whatnot. And yeah, Amazon. The show is available on iTunes. And follow us on Twitter at DadModePod or myself at Andy Carlson Show. The website, as always, dadmodepod.com. Also, Stitcher and YouTube, too. We're on all that stuff. And the links will be in the show notes page, on the YouTube video, and on the website as well. But we're out of here for today. Be a man, be a father, go dad mode. Baby powder is BS. Don't use it. It's bad for the baby's lungs. And plus, just get the cream. Cream is way better. See you next time.
Think the episode you just heard is worth $1? Well, send it our way. Visit dadmodepod.com/support to find out how. Be a man, be a father. Go dad mode. The music is created and produced by deeB. To hear more of his tracks, visit soundcloud.com/deeB.